Welcome to A Double
and
Dice
with your host Kim.
and Jocelyn.
Pour your favorite beverage
Pull up a comfy chair.
because we are ready to roll.
Welcome to episode 103 of A Double and Dice. And today, we're going to talk about 2023, which is over right now. So we're going to say Happy New Year.
Okay, so I was in a meeting today.
First and foremost.
And in this meeting, I said Happy New Year to a person. And for reference, that we're
okay.
We are. So we're
Are we having this
recording,
discussion, I think?
like a couple of days after the New Year. It's January 3rd.
Yes.
Okay? Our day of recording. And I said,
Our
Happy
day of
New Year.
recording, yes.
And the person said, this is the last day you can say that. And I was like, what are you talking? Like,
There's
he wasn't
a
like
limit?
rude about it. He was joking. It was a good meeting and everything. It was at my workplace.
Yeah.
And I said, really? I said, I always wonder, like, when you should stop saying it. Like, sometimes you're like in the third week of January and you haven't talked to someone and you're like, do you say it? Do you don't say it? He's like, nope. He said, curb your enthusiasm. Larry David said, January 3rd is the end. After today, you don't say it anymore. He's like, I don't know if you know that show. And I'm like, I haven't watched that show really. Like, I think I've seen like 1 or 2 episodes, but Rob has been watching it recently. So I said, so I'm familiar with it, right? Because Larry David is the guy that did Seinfeld. He's not Seinfeld. That's Jerry Seinfeld. But he was like the producer or the writer or something. So then he did a show called Curb Your Enthusiasm. So I'm familiar with it. But apparently today's the last day that we can say Happy New Year. So we're saying Happy New Year on the day that Curb Your Enthusiasm says is the last day. But you're hearing it later, just for those of you that are concerned. Don't at me. Don't at me.
Don't go on our
so yes, but Happy New Year. Happy 2023. Happy 2024.
Whoa.
Well,
someone's
we
in the
are going to
past.
look into the past today, aren't we, Kim?
Yes, we're going to wrap up A Double
and
say
farewell. So long. Elf Eater saying goodbye.
Farewell. We're
we're
singing. I don't know. I don't know. Could you imagine our podcast just turns into a musical? A musical Dice Masters
I mean,
podcast.
I don't think it's been done before. You know, the Ministry of Dice does their holiday pantomime every year, which, by the way, if you have not listened to this year's Ministry of Dice Holidays pantomime episode, it was just released on January 2nd. So I strongly encourage you to go check that one out because it was a great episode, like all of their episodes are. Or actually, maybe it came out on January 1st. Anyway, the first episode that they launched in 2024 was their holiday pantomime episode, and I highly recommend it. So go check that out at the Ministry of Dice, wherever you get your podcasts. Of course we will, because Kim is awesome.
Link it in the show notes.
You'll remember.
If I remember. Yes, it's called Looking Back at Our Notes.
Because we put it in our notes so that we don't forget.
Put it in
we
our
have
notes.
Notes like we're professionals or something. Speaking of being professionals or something, Kim, did you know that in 2023, A Double and Dice, a Dice Masters podcast, was in the top 50% of all shows on our podcast host? That means that in
that's pretty good.
First 7 days after our podcast releases, the number of downloads that we got consistently put us in the top 50% of all of the shows on this podcast host called Buzzsprout, which is actually a pretty popular podcast host. So,
yeah, I'm sure they have a lot of,
top 50%
podcasters out there.
I mean, we're no 1%ers here, but we're making the cut.
We're cutting
right?
it.
We passed. We didn't get an A or an A plus or a B or even a C, but we passed. So yeah, we had over 2,000 downloads of our 26 episodes last year, which was 1 episode every 2 weeks, consistently throughout the course of the year with no breaks or misses.
No, we did not miss one episode. Even with like your crazy schedule of traveling.
With that said, I think that I was only on 25 of those episodes because you had a guest host when I was away. So you were on 26 episodes.
Yes.
I was only on 25 episodes.
Yes.
But the two of us together, I mean, that's like 51 episodes. 26 plus 25, 51.
Yeah. It seems so weird. It's only 26 out of the whole year.
Yep.
Then again, we do it every
week. So
bi-week.
So yeah. So congratulations to us, and this is me patting ourselves on the back, virtually giving Kim a high five, and looking forward to seeing what 2024 will bring. But yeah. So our podcasts, for those of you that listen to all of them, all 26, even the one that I wasn't in. 1,413 minutes of your life were spent listening to Kim and I talk. It is a lot of minutes.
That's a lot of minutes.
1,413 is how many
400.
Because if we divide that by 60, see, Nick, I can do math. That's almost an entire day's worth of your life. 23.55 hours. We feel special.
That you dedicate to us.
Right? That's amazing. Can you believe we recorded that much content?
I feel like this is like The Amazing Race. Do you know that show? Okay. You know how they always say, you've traveled like 27 countries. By the way, we've had 27 countries listen to our podcast. And like you've listened 1,413. That's what it feels like. Like it's The Amazing Race, but it's like The Amazing Podcast. And we're like giving like, these awesome, like you've traveled 2,175 downloads. Like, you know what I mean?
I'm worried now that some of our listeners are like, oh my God, I spent 24 hours of my life listening to Kim and Jocelyn. I gotta find a new hobby.
We love you anyways.
We do. And we love our listeners all over the world, to Kim's point of 27 countries. And our number one country, to probably no one's surprise, is the United States of America, with the most downloads by far.
Yep.
Followed by Canada Land, where we live, and then closely followed by the United Kingdom. So, and then Germany and Australia round out the top 5. And Australia is probably Robin, right? New listener Robin.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out who in Germany.
That's a good question. Yeah, Germany, so I'm not sure. I'm wondering because, like, if Peter and friends in the Netherlands, perhaps maybe they have like a VPN or they're downloading when they're going across the border or something. Because I think the Netherlands is the Netherlands adjacent to Germany, or am I making that up? No, it is. I checked the map. I don't know.
We need to go
to
the
Netherlands is adjacent to Germany. So, but we don't know where in Germany people are downloading from. So, no. And
it doesn't get really specific.
Our listening public, the most popular city, the number one city where our podcasts are downloaded, is Toronto. Yeah, see, you said it properly.
Good old Toronto, Ontario, Canada.
Say it again.
What?
Yeah, Toronto. I said Toronto. I said it all like. I did all the emphasizing. But here we call it like Toronto. I'm going to Toronto. There's no T.
Who calls it Toronto?
If you think about it, when you say Toronto, there's no T at the end. Toronto.
Yes.
You don't say Toronto. You say
Toronto.
I'm going to Toronto.
No, it's true. But when you say you're a Torontonian. No one does that.
So that was our it was actually tied for top city which the next city was New Baltimore, Michigan. So thank you to our Michigan friends.
Hi, Mike and family.
Followed by, from there, Burbank, California, which makes sense. We've got our very prominent Dice Masters community over there. Tucson, Arizona surprised me.
That's a bit too for that.
No, so if you're in Tucson, Arizona, or thereabouts and are downloading the podcast, we'd love to hear from you to find out exactly who you are. And then Frankfurt am Main in Hesse, which I think is the German city. So I probably said that too like French-like, and it should be a lot more guttural if it's German. So I took German in school for 4 years. I'm not making fun. It's just, it's a guttural language. It's a lot of hard consonant, unlike French or Spanish.
Yes.
So yeah, it's a little softer.
This is very delicate.
So that is our year in review, and surprisingly, our number 1 listened to episode last year. Go by 5?
Yeah, go by 5.
You want me to break it down?
Yeah, let's take it down.
I wasn't going to
go by number 5, then 4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay, so our 5th most popular episode last year was a What Have We Played episode. I think so.
Which I think we only did
next
one
was
of
called
those,
What Have We
correct?
Played Part 2. So, our 4th most popular episode was Not So Gen Con Talk. So I think that was the wrap up for Gen Con, possibly.
Possibly. We had a few
there was like 4
Gen Cons in
Con
there,
episodes. Number 3, my personal favorite. Winner, not a chicken dinner, when Kim won the Dice Masters online tournament with her Guy Gardner
first
team.
Ever.
Hashtag late to the party. So that was a really great episode. Number 2 was a female characters in Dice Masters series when we covered X23.
Which is interesting because we've kind of covered a lot of female characters, and I'm surprised that made number 2.
People are like the X-Men. And then number 1 was Happy, which I believe was our anniversary episode. Yeah. So
yes, our 3rd anniversary.
Hard to believe that we have been doing this podcast since 2020. So here we are now in 2024.
Going into our 4th year.
Right? 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023. 2024 is going into our 5th year.
Our 5th year.
It's just because the pandemic made
our 4th
it feel like
anniversary
everything was ridiculous. Everything was like super like condensed because we didn't go anywhere and stuff. So but yeah, so we are super happy with all of these amazing results that we've shared with you today, and looking back at the podcast, very proud of the content we've been able to provide to you, our listeners of this Dice Masters podcast, with so little news to share.
Yeah. Hopefully in 2024 it'll be a little different.
So yeah, what about you, Kim? What was your sort of highlight of 2023?
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of liked all our singing episodes, to be honest with you. I mean, I think I need to work on my
you can do some
voice work. Take some singing lessons or something. Yeah. Do some voice work, some singing lessons, and tune my voice, because you never know. That musical Dice Masters episode might
your like place, right? So when you're singing, you've got to find like where your tone is and adapt accordingly. I'm not a very good singer.
Yeah.
I love. I think I'm more of the
low
tone.
I'm
not a good singer. Like my voice is not great, so But I really enjoy singing. I am the person that is like driving down the road, rocking out to whatever 90s stuff is on the radio and singing along and banging my head at stoplights and such. I am very much a millennial in that way. So
yeah, I do that even in the shower and stuff like that. But yeah,
but I mean, it's fun.
I don't mind it.
It's a good enjoyment thing to do. Like, if I am having a good time, then I do it. So, and in my car, no one can hear me, and on the podcast, lots of people listen to it. It's now out there in the world.
Everybody hears you.
But we're not going to focus on that. So
I don't know. 2023 went by quick.
I feel like the older
I don't know
we get,
where that year went.
Old now, Kim.
Speaking for yourself.
Not that much younger than me.
I'll get there. I don't feel old. I really don't. Like, I wish I was younger than what I am.
I don't feel old, like, in my brain. I don't think of myself as old. I don't feel like I act old. I feel like I'm maybe a little more mature than I used to be. I have a little bit more, life knowledge and street smarts, etc. That get me through. But I don't feel like I thought I would when I was a kid at this age, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay. And I'm glad. And I'm glad that I'm playing games and hosting a podcast with you, Kim, and traveling and doing all sorts of things that I, 2023 was crazy for me. Like, just like personally, like,
with all the traveling,
like I had a bunch of travel, right? We went to Italy. We talked about that. I went to Gen Con. I went to PAX U. I went to Memphis. I visited my sister in BC a couple times. I had work travel. I had personal travel. I sold my condo. I bought a house. I moved. Like, it was a crazy year. It was a crazy year. And in all of that, I still put out this podcast with you every 2 weeks, with the exception of the 1 week when I was in Italy. I recorded game content with Rob on Dice Station Zebra's YouTube channel. So if you're not a subscriber over there, I'd encourage you to go check that out. youtube.com/Dice Station Zebra. We haven't done much Dice Masters lately, but there was Dice Masters earlier last year when Secret Wars came out. But we do a lot of HeroClix and a few other things as well. But like the amount of things that I achieved, if I think back, and then I also worked a full-time job. And full-time job in my world is not like 40 hours a week, Monday to Friday. It's a little bit different than that. It's mostly Monday to Friday, but it's a little more than 40 hours a week, and it requires a little bit of travel, and I'm on the road and I'm doing all kinds of things, right? Like, it's crazy to think about what happened in 2023 for me. And then having been able to do all of the things that we do and that I do with Rob and everything else, like it's amazing. Sometimes I forget the things that I do. I just do them. And then just sitting here right now talking to you, it just sort of popped into my head like, holy, like that was a lot. It's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Right? So it's kind of crazy. And of course, at this time of year in my work life, I manage a large team of people, and this is like performance review time. I'm surprised I have any voice left, to be honest, because I started performance reviews today. So I basically talked for like 9 hours. Well, they did some of the talking.
You did all the talking?
I called someone around, I want to say it was like around 4:30 today, 4:30 this afternoon. And they're like, "Are you sick?" And I was like, "No. Do I sound sick?" And they're like, "Your voice sounds funny." Nope. I said, I've been delivering performance reviews all day. My voice is getting a little raw. So I hope it sounds okay now. I had some vocal rest between then and when we recorded. So What about you, Kim? What did you do in 2023?
That's a lot.
You did some
Talking.
cool stuff.
I did. Considering my memory is like 2 seconds,
well,
can't remember what even happened
right?
last week.
Not just. It's all the way across the country.
That's about it. Yeah, I don't travel as much as we used to.
And then you basically have a full-time job as a volunteer, aka an unpaid teacher at your son's school.
Pretty much.
Right? You're always doing stuff over there, field tripping and
I practically live there.
And
I haven't done a field trip in a while.
There's a lot of stuff that you've been doing, and then every Saturday night you're on Twitch with Matt. I guess on YouTube now too, right? Because you're dual streaming,
playing board games.
But you're streaming board games every Saturday night.
Yeah.
You're running Weekly Dice Arena. I know you've pulled back on that a little bit because attendance has been light, but you're still running it every second week. Is the plan, right? And then you're adding in a board game night midway through the month. If that's still on the plan. I don't know if it still is. So 3 Tuesdays out of 4, you can either have Dice Masters or a board game with Kim online. We're always looking for people to join the board game playing online on Twitch/YouTube on Saturday nights. I've joined in from time to time on nights when I'm still awake.
Mm-hmm.
So it happens sometimes, but there's a lot of stuff, Kim, that you did last year. Not to mention, for those of you that are unaware, Kim is basically the support behind this podcast. Like, she takes the recording, and we don't really edit. We've talked about that before. Straight to tape. No. But what is editing? Do add our beginning onto the episode, and you add the music in. Right. So there is some work that goes into that. So you have to download it and tweak it a little bit. And then you make sure it's uploaded, and then you write the episode post, and you send it all the social media links, and you put it on YouTube, and you do all of that. I just show up and talk. and sometimes I preemptively make the show notes. Not always, but sometimes I take care of that. So it's a two-way street, and we've had a lot of great feedback about, how our relationship is and how the podcast comes across as, we're friends and we're just two people hanging out, because we are friends that are two people hanging out, talking about stuff that we hanging out. Right?
It's true.
Well, that's
and we train wreck all the time.
And it keeps people engaged so that they can correct us. But not that we don't do things wrong on purpose. We actually do try to get things right. So, So I mean, 2023 was a great year. It was a great year for both of us. It was a great year for the podcast. It was a great year just sort of overall. And I want 2024 to be just as great, if not greater. Right?
Yeah. I know. Do you ever make resolutions or no?
I'm not really a resolution
out of curiosity
person, because
neither am I.
They don't stick for me generally. And I don't necessarily look at the new year as like new year, new you type thing. I'm sort of looking at it as new year, same me, but slightly better, maybe. So let me put this in perspective for you. I made the decision last week, before the new year. I saw this thing on Facebook to join a free 30-day yoga class. Okay. So January 1st was day 0. Okay. She sent out a calendar. It's called Yoga with Adrienne. She seems very lovely. It's online through YouTube.
You do this online or
and it's free.
In person?
So, and I've been trying to get back into yoga and not having great success on my own. So I was like, well, this free 30-day class might be something to do. So, you have to sign up with your email. So now she has my email address, and I'll probably get spammed for the rest of my life, but I can hit unsubscribe at some point. So I go to day 0. She sends out a calendar. It tells you exactly how many minutes each day each class is, and none of them are longer than 30 minutes, right? Day 0 was 6 minutes, so I watched it. Yesterday was day 1. Took me all day to convince myself to sit down for 22 minutes to do this yoga class. And then I finally did. And I was like, this is great. Like, I really am glad that I did this. I feel good about it. I definitely am going to do tomorrow. I haven't done today yet.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's still time in the day.
But I'm probably not going to do a 25 or 30-minute yoga class, even online at this time of night. So I might just either do 2 classes tomorrow because I can do that. Like it's online. I can do whatever I want. Or I just push it back a day. But here I am, day 3, and I'm already slacking.
So you didn't? No, you're on day 3 and you haven't done 1, 2, or 3?
I just haven't done today's, but it's day 3 and I haven't done day 3 yet. So that's, I do.
You still have time. You just have to push yourself.
It was a very busy day at work. It was a very long day at work. That's not an excuse. But when it was done, like I didn't even put my yoga mat away. I've been walking around it in my living room because I was like, maybe if I put my yoga mat away, it's going to be harder for me to do this. If I leave it out, then how can I like not do it? It's right there. Yeah, I've just walked around it all day.
Now, is this like a timing thing on the
At
YouTube,
or you just have to,
when your convenient time?
I think the links are like in like a private YouTube thing. Like I don't think you can just go directly to the YouTube channel and get it. I think you have to get the link from your email. But she seems like a very lovely teacher, and I've talked to a couple of people who are familiar with her. She has a lot of followers. She's called Adrienne, Yoga with Adrienne. And if you're into yoga, if that's something that interests you, I would recommend it. It's nothing to do with her that I haven't gotten on my mat today. It has to do with me. So
you just have to change your schedule. So the first thing you do in the morning is your yoga.
I do like yoga in the morning, but I also like it at the end of the day. And I was trying to use it as the end of the day as like an unwind thing after my work day.
Okay.
But for various reasons, it just didn't happen today. Maybe it will. Maybe it'll happen after we finish recording. It's not that late. It's a 25-minute day today, so it's possible that I could do it after we record. But that's my context of my resolutions. What about you? Do you make resolutions?
Okay. Anything on the gaming end, though?
Yes, you are.
I'm not going anywhere.
That on Tuesdays, if I am at home and not traveling for work, on nights when she's running WDA, I'm going to try and come out for at least the first round.
See? I got it.
I had no idea where you were going with that until you got a little more specific. I'm going to try. I'm not going to commit to anything because it is late for me and my work schedule is still very focused on the morning. But, maybe I can get in a round or 2 depending on time. It's really just going to depend on if I can get a team together based on the theme.
Yeah. And usually I already have it planned out. So pretty much the next day or the next Wednesday is when.
Well, I also know you, so you could tell me in advance.
That's true. If you ask me, I can tell you.
Yeah.
But there was none this week because it's every second and
I was
fourth
home this
Tuesday
week.
of the month now.
So,
yeah. So there was not one happening.
What about you, Kim? Do you have any resolutions?
I don't usually put out myself as any resolutions. No, I just think I on a personal thing, I think I could do some more, get back into my walking. I used to always walk to work, I guess you can say, and walk back. But I don't like to do that really in the winter time. But I think once the winter is over, I can get back into doing that.
It's not that cold.
It's still cold.
It's not that cold.
No, it's not that cold, actually. No, we have not hit any really snow until yesterday. It snowed.
Oh, I
think it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
The one
I had 2
snowflakes.
It's nothing out here.
Oh, really? Like
Oh wow.
Noah went
No, we
sledding,
don't have
stuck.
anything.
Yeah.
My grass is growing.
But now it's like all gone.
Like I feel like I need to cut my lawn.
Yeah, we've had positive weather. We have been in the positives. We haven't had a cold anything past
And that would be at
minus
night.
10 Celsius. Yeah, we
No,
haven't got anything
it's
colder
been
during the day
beautiful.
yet. If it stays like this, I'll be very happy.
It means that climate change is a real thing. Not to say it wasn't. It is a real thing.
Or it'll start snowing in like spring or summertime.
I will take the
or
positive
like that.
temperatures in winter right now. I will take it. I'm happy that it hasn't been snowing a whole ton because, as I mentioned, I do travel for work. So being on the road when it is snowing is unpleasant, depending on the level of snow. But if it's like sticking, raining can be bad too, especially if it's cold. In fact, if it's like close to 0 and it's raining, it makes me anxious to drive. I'd rather it be snowing at that point than raining. Because I feel like the rain makes it slipperier when you're sort of at that 0 mark. So, but yeah, it's been a very mild winter. And Kim, I believe in you. You can walk to work.
Yep. Yeah, I can walk. But the reason why I like this weather is because I stand outside. So
like an hour
for like a given almost an hour. My afternoons are like almost straight hour. Mornings are like half an hour break, half an hour. So it's
you are outside the whole time.
That
is something,
right? Yeah, that's different than you're in a. Yeah. But if it's like nice weather, yeah, I'll walk. But sometimes I hate walking when I'm wearing like my boots, which are not really for walking, and you have like your almost like a not really a
those
what do you call
boots
it?
Aren't made for walking.
What do the kids wear? No, the pants.
Snow pants, yeah.
Snow pants. Yeah, but not like poofy snow pants. Like they're snow pants, but it's like it's more for keeping you warm than it's snowing, right? And then walking with your big jacket.
It can get bulky.
It's just not the shoes are the worst, right? Because they're not meant for
sure.
Really,
those boots ain't made for walking because that's not what they do.
Boots.
So one of these days, these boots aren't gonna walk all over you.
Because even if it's -3.
Well, yeah,
the wind can kill you sometimes.
Right?
So
and we've had some,
cold.
Although it hasn't been cold per se, and it hasn't been snowy, it has been damp and windy. So
the wind has been.
Yeah, I also need to do more walking.
Yeah.
But I'm, this is like the first full year that I've been on the road in like a long time. So I'm finding that I'm doing a lot of sitting at home, and I'm sitting when I'm driving, of course, and when I get to stores to visit with people, everyone's like, sit. I'm like, no, thank you. I'll stand. You sit, please feel free. Because my employees stand all the time, right?
Yeah.
But then they feel obligated to stand because I'm standing. So then I feel obligated to sit down so that they get a break. It's like a whole thing. But what I did do is for the days that I work from home, which is usually 1 to 2 days a week, I just got it today, Kim. I got this standing desk thing to put on top of my desk. So basically, it's just like a riser. It's like a desk on top of a desk,
like a desk.
Or I could use it like if I wouldn't do this because it would hurt my body. But if I was like sick in bed, I could use it sick in bed and put my computer on it. Sort of like a lap table, right? But it's adjustable. I can raise it or lower it to certain heights, and it's got a little lip on it so that my computer and mouse don't fall off if I put it on a slight angle, like I like to do. And it arrived today from everyone's favorite online company, Amazon. So it arrived today, and I brought it in from the front porch and set it up immediately. And then I spent half the day standing. So that was really nice to be able to stand while I was working. So I used to do it at my old place at my condo. I used to be able to stand because I had a tall breakfast bar in my kitchen. So if I needed to stand up for a while when I was working, I would just relocate my computer to the kitchen for a while, and I would stand in my kitchen. But my new place that I moved into doesn't have anything that's like a counter height, or a bar height for me to work off of.
Yeah, like a high thing.
So in order to stand and work, I needed something taller. So I went ahead and bought this little riser. So I'm very excited about it. Mm-hmm.
Cool. Yeah, I do a lot of sitting at home.
Got to move around. Yeah.
Unless I'm really busy at the school, then I'm on my feet.
Get the walking in, get the moving around. I am going to try and move a little bit more. I am going to try and complete this yoga thing that I signed up for, even if it's not quite in the exact 30 days, if it takes me 31 days or 32 days. I'm going to try and do that.
I know a lot of people telling me I have to get back into my drawing.
If you would like to get back into your drawing, I would encourage you to do so, but I'm not going to tell you to do it.
Nope, and then gaming too is probably another one I want to do more of.
Yeah.
I have so much solo games that I just don't do.
Do you like solo gaming? I know you used to solo Dice Masters.
Like I like gaming and like board gaming in general, and I have all these games that I just don't. I probably could find the time to do it.
It's easy to get caught up in other stuff, right?
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Whether it's, I haven't been watching a lot of television, but there is a lot of television out there, so it's easy to get caught up in like watching TV and movies. The scrolling on social media is one thing that I get caught up in sometimes.
Which you're scrolling to do nothing.
Yeah, and it's just
you're doing
so many other things. So that's something I'm not making a resolution around it, but I am going to try and spend less time randomly scrolling social media. Like social media has a purpose. There's a reason for it, and I think there's use for it. But for me, I'd like the random, what do they call it? The doom scrolling, where you don't want to do anything else. You just scroll around on your social media. I'm going to try and reduce to that this year. No, you're just watching like random clips of things.
You're just scrolling.
We all do.
Yeah, I do it. The worst is like you're like lying in bed and you're on your phone and you just start playing like a game and then you realize it's so late and you're like, why am I still playing this game?
I do charge my phone in my bedroom because I live alone, so I like to have my phone nearby just in case of emergency. But I try not to do too much on my phone in bed. I try to keep my bed for sleeping.
Yeah.
So I don't have a television in my bedroom either.
No, we don't either. But I do watch some of my shows on
I have done that. Like
I've
watched shows on my iPad or on my computer in bed, particularly if I'm not feeling well. If I'm sick or something like that, and I don't want to like get up and go to the couch, then I'll use my laptop in bed for something like that, but not very often. So less doom scrolling, more Dice Masters, and more movement, I guess, is the goal for 2024.
Yep. And we hope that this year, Dice Masters,
I was like,
will bring us happy
we hope
news.
This year's Dice Masters, they just trailed off, and I was like, yeah, that's kind of what happened to it. It just trailed off.
I just, trying to find the right words there to say, I mean, the thing though is it's a great game, and there's still so much you can do with it, which I think, and a lot of people don't think that. But that's why we have themes in Weekly Dice Arena, right? It's to get your other things out that you don't normally play.
Competitive Modern. Yeah. So we were talking about this just before we started recording, and we might save some of this for a future episode, but Kim and I were just talking briefly about like when we got into Dice Masters, as we've talked about on this podcast before. Kim got into Dice Masters and didn't know anyone that played it, and when I got into Dice Masters, it was just me and Rob, and we played at the kitchen table. I played hours and hours and hours of Dice Masters at the kitchen table before I knew even a competitive scene existed, or a modern rotation, or a win, or any of those things, right? So it's a board game. It's a collectible board game, but it's a board game. You might not need the competitive environment. It's nice to have. It's nice to have the support. But on that note, so many of you know that I also play HeroClix, WizKids' other game. And Rob and I record HeroClix videos on the Dice Station Zebra channel. So one of the things that I also do is listen to HeroClix podcasts. So as many a Dice Masters players has said, HeroClix is the golden child of WizKids, and Dice Masters is like the forgotten stepchild, right? Right now,
Yeah.
HeroClix players absolutely incensed that Dice Masters is getting rulings. Because no one has answered a question on the win for HeroClix since September 10th. And we got Dice Masters rulings as recently as January 1st, 2024. So they are just like, Dice Masters is getting rules questions answered. No one's answering anything for HeroClix. And meanwhile, we're like, WizKids isn't paying any attention to us. And I guess, that's not you and me, but just like the general sense of the community, right? The general sense of the community online is that WizKids isn't paying any attention to Dice Masters. But with that said, okay, yes, there is no news on product, right? Yes, House of X has been removed from the solicits. It didn't come out in November 2023, and it's now been removed. Yes, there's no news on new sets. Yes, there's basically been radio silence since before Gen Con, right? And except for the informal conversation that the new VP Jake had during the Q&A at the fan appreciation event, right? But they're answering rules questions. They launched a comprehensive rules document this year, right? So they launched the new Secret Wars with the new redesign. Yes, it was a year later, or whatever, 8 months later than they'd planned on launching it. But it came out, right? They held events at Gen Con. There were drafts. There was a competitive Worlds event. Could it have been planned better? Yes. Could there have been more notice? Yes. But, they did it, right? It was attended. But they launched the comprehensive rules document. They relaunched the origin packs. They're answering rules questions consistently on the win. They are updating people on the questions that they have, right? So it's not all doom and gloom. If you look at the opposite side of things, if you're the HeroClix player, you're getting regular product releases, but you're not getting regular rulings. Yes, you're having events, but they're not getting the same prize support they used to. So there's different things happening in the different games. And then they have Onslaught, their new Onslaught game. And Onslaught appears to be basically being managed by a third-party company called Balder something games, that seems to be doing all of the handling of events and all that sort of stuff. Onslaught's not on the win. It's on a different website. There's a Discord and things like that they're using to manage that. And now they're getting ready to launch their new Star Trek game, which they previewed at PAX U, which looks like it repurposed the miniatures from Attack Wing. So that could be I think always right now. WizKids' bread and butter is their board games. It's not HeroClix, it's not Onslaught, it's not Dice Masters, it's not Attack Wing. I think their bread and butter is board games. They put out tons of board games, Kim. You know that. So I think that is their bread and butter. I think HeroClix is doing reasonably well. I don't know how well Onslaught is doing. I'm not super tuned into that, but if you're interested in Onslaught, we can recommend Alex Kuz's podcast WizDad. He does Onslaught Wednesdays, and you can tune into WizDad and hear him talk about Onslaught on Wednesdays. He's sort of tuned into that. He's been playing a little bit, and he's had some competitive games and things like that. So he's sort of the only person I know that has the finger on the pulse of Onslaught. It looks cool, but it's not like my thing. So I like Dice Masters. I like
Yeah.
HeroClix. I learned to play Magic this year. We're talking about the
You mean last
2023
year.
retrospective. So in 2023, I learned to play Magic. And it is not as hard as I thought it was going to be. It needs more dice rolling.
No. Only if we had a game with dice rolling.
Product. But I think where we were going with this, where we kind of went off topic, is that there is a lot of cards for this game. There is a lot of ways to play Dice Masters. There is tons and tons and tons of dice and cards and combinations and all sorts of things. And there was a whole way that you and I used to play this game before we even knew competitive existed. So, and for lots of people, it might just be a game that they pull out and play at the kitchen table. And that's okay, right? Not everything needs a competitive scene.
Nope.
I know it's true.
It's true.
It
reminds me of a song. I know it's true. Everything. Isn't that what's his name? I do it for you.
That song?
Who's saying that song. Anyways.
Is that Bryan Adams? No.
Oh, maybe it was Bryan Adams.
It was that guy.
I think it was Bryan Adams.
Oh, this is a pop culture train wreck. This is one.
I think it was the Bryan
Robin
Adams.
Hood Prince of Thieves song. Hang on.
Goes like that.
Everything I do it for you.
Yeah,
Bryan Adams. I was right.
For you, yeah.
It was the Robin Hood Prince of Thieves song.
Bryan Adams.
Which was a movie from 1991.
I don't even know if I ever seen that movie. Is that the one with
Kevin Costner?
Oh, I forget the actor's name. Oh, okay. No, not the other Robin, but the other actor guy.
Robin Hood Men in Tights.
Yeah, I've seen that one.
No?
No, but that one didn't have the guy I'm thinking of. Which I can't. I'm having like a hard time thinking of any actors' names right now.
The top build cast in Robin Hood Prince of Thieves are Kevin Costner, Alan Rickman, R.I.P., Mary Elizabeth Mastriano, Christian Slater, Morgan Freeman. So, there you go.
Christian Slater. He's done anything recently.
Didn't he do something?
Recently?
He was Mr. Robot.
I don't know if recently.
He was Mr. Robot. Oh.
I never watched that. I think I started watching that show and then I just like gave up on it.
Like you watch that show and you're like, oh my god, the internet is like ruining everything. So, well, yeah.
I'm telling you, they're listening.
So he's done a few things. But
I forget where this conversation was going, but
yeah,
we're just totally going off track everywhere.
So, what are you looking forward to this year, Kim?
Honestly,
just in general,
in the Dice Masters world, or
that in the Dice Masters world.
I don't know. It would be nice to get a new product, but you know me, I'm not. It's not my thing. You know what I mean?
Spoilers.
Like, you know me, I'm not one to be like, oh my gosh, there's no product. Oh my god, I'm gonna die. Oh my gosh. No, I'm not like that, right? So it doesn't bother me. Just put it that way. It doesn't bother me. I like the game. There's tons of game in Dice Masters, no matter if we have new product or not.
Yeah, and we're
just have to be creative. And then I will leave it at that.
I think that's a great place to end the episode, Kim. Be creative with your Dice Masters.
Be creative.
We're happy that you were with us in 2023, and we look forward to seeing you more, hearing you more in 2024. So, Kim, speaking of Dice Masters, where can you play Dice Masters right now?
Right now, you can play it every second and fourth Tuesday on a weekly Dice Arena, which is streamed on the Twitch. And if you go to the Dice Masters online Discord group, there is a weekly Dice Rana channel.
I have no idea what you just
Did I
said.
call it Rana? Weekly Dice Rana? I don't know. Channel, and you can see upcoming themes there. Also coming up actually this month on Saturday, January 20th is Breath Weapon X Fest 7, which is the extra large
format
theme. I believe it's golden. Yeah, XL format. Golden, and I think their band list is the orange band list. There might be some other bands on there. I have not looked as of late. And that's it for coming in this month. Also, to let people know, which maybe not everybody knows, the team builder is down right now. Because of it's really expensive to host that website right now, and the website's not really being used, but other than the team building website, which I like. That's how I team build, is just a team building website. I can't build looking at my cards. I just can't do it.
It is overwhelming.
I have too much. I just can't do it. So, yeah. So right now it's currently down. If you do not know, it is down. So they are looking into
apparently they're in
moving it right now.
That. I saw something today.
Yeah, so they're in the midst of doing I think it's Jigsaw. I can't remember. Is moving it, and he said it was being, or she, I don't know, is being uploaded right now. So hopefully it will be up and running soon. But if you haven't heard and you're hearing it now, which will be by Monday, maybe it might be working by then. Who knows? But episode drops, but it is down right now. So I have not made my team yet for Breath Weapon X because I live on that to make my team.
Well, hopefully
so
it will, and then if not, you might just have to actually use the old school pulling out the cards, Kim.
Yeah, maybe just thinking in my head like what I want to do and what kind of cards I'm thinking, and just trying to pull that.
Sure. But it's great that they found someone to host it, and they're in the process of getting it up and running. So
yeah,
so that's great news. And so that's where we can play Dice Masters. And then a huge part of our podcast in 2023, as well as what we would like it to be in 2024, is your feedback and your thoughts to help us build our content. So we would love to hear from you, as we always do. And hopefully we will have some more Dice Bag segments in future episodes. You can reach out to us basically anywhere, but here's the high level places. You can send us an email at dmNorth.com. You can find us on all the social medias, which include Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, /X, Threads, TikTok, etc. at dmNorthTV. You can join our Discord channel, which is my #1 place to interact with Kim and friends, at dmNorthTV on Discord, and there will be a invite in the video or in the show notes that you can join there, where we have a Double and Dice podcast channel convo there. Of course, you can find us at our website, dm-north.com. You can find us on YouTube at youtube.com/dmNorthTV, and you can also find us on Twitch at twitch.tv/dmNorthTV, where Kim runs Weekly Dice Arena and also plays board games with Jordo on Saturday nights. So those are all the places you can reach out to us. You can also at us on Discord. Kim is at SuperK, and I am at Jostitch, JOCE Stitch. So until next time, on a Double and Dice.